High-potential Season 2 keeping Ava involved in the Roman plotline isn't just a nice continuity choice. It's a structural necessity for the story to work at its full emotional and thematic strength. Removing Ava from that arc, or sidelining her once the mystery escalates, would flatten both the stakes and the character dynamics the show has worked carefully to build. Roman isn't just a case or a villain-adjacent figure. He's a narrative pressure point. And Ava's proximity to that pressure point is what makes it resonate beyond procedural mechanics. Ava's value in the Roman plotline comes from perspective. She operates in a different emotional and ethical lane than Morgan, and that contrast is deliberate. Where Morgan approaches Roman through analysis, pattern recognition, and psychological insight, Ava brings human consequence into focus. She reacts not just to what Roman is, but to what his actions do to people. That grounding effect is essential. Without Ava, the Roman storyline risks becoming overly abstract, a puzzle to be solved rather than a situation with real emotional fallout. What makes Ava especially important is that she isn't positioned as an expert trying to outthink Roman. She's positioned as someone affected by the ripple effects of his choices. That means her involvement keeps the plotline honest. Roman doesn't exist in a vacuum of clever writing. He exists in a world where people respond, suffer, adapt, and sometimes misjudge. Ava embodies that reality. Her continued presence ensures the story doesn't drift into intellectualized villainy at the expense of emotional credibility. There's also a character consistency issue at play. Ava has already been established as someone who doesn't disengage once things get complicated. Pulling her out of the Roman plotline in Season 2 would feel less like narrative restraint and more like avoidance. It would suggest that her earlier involvement was situational rather than intrinsic to who she is. Keeping her connected reinforces the idea that Ava is not a passive side character. She's someone whose choices and instincts matter, even when the situation becomes dangerous or morally ambiguous. From a storytelling standpoint, Ava's involvement also deepens Roman as a character. Roman is most compelling when seen through multiple lenses. Morgan sees him as a mind to decode. Karadec sees him as a threat to contain. Ava sees him as a person whose actions have consequences that can't be neatly filed away. Those competing interpretations prevent Roman from becoming one-dimensional. If Ava is removed, the balance tips too far toward procedural efficiency, and Roman risks becoming just another plot device rather than a destabilizing force. Ava's continued presence also creates narrative tension without relying on artificial twists. Her reactions don't always align with Morgan's calculated approach, and that friction is productive. It raises uncomfortable questions the show shouldn't shy away from. How far is too far in pursuit of truth? When does understanding cross into enabling? What responsibility do investigators have to the people caught in the orbit of someone like Roman? Ava is often the character who implicitly asks those questions simply by being there and responding authentically. Season 2, in particular, has an opportunity to evolve Ava's role rather than reduce it. Keeping her involved doesn't mean repeating the same beats. It means allowing her perspective to mature as the Roman plotline grows darker or more complex. She can become more cautious, more conflicted, or more resolute, but disengagement would be the least interesting option. Growth comes from sustained exposure, not retreat. There's also an important relational aspect. Ava's involvement indirectly affects Morgan and Karadec's dynamic. Ava often serves as a mirror, reflecting the human cost of decisions Morgan might otherwise view purely through logic. That influence subtly shapes how Morgan navigates morally gray territory. Removing Ava from the Roman plotline would narrow Morgan's internal conflict, making her choices feel cleaner than they should. High potential works best when answers are earned through discomfort, not convenience. Audience investment matters here too. Viewers who connected to Ava's role in the Roman storyline didn't do so because she had all the answers, but because she represented stakes that felt real. Keeping her involved signals that the show respects that investment. It says that emotional continuity matters just as much as plot momentum. When characters disappear from storylines they were central to, it breaks trust. When they stay and evolve, it strengthens it. Ultimately, Season 2 keeping Ava involved in the Roman plotline isn't about giving her more screen time for the sake of it. It's about preserving narrative integrity. Ava is part of what gives the Roman storyline weight, consequence, and emotional texture. Without her, the plot may still function, but it won't fully resonate. With her, it has the potential to be unsettling, grounded, and genuinely impactful. And that's exactly where high potential does its best work.